Hello everybody, it is Christine. It is time for Scraplift Crafternoon. Let me show you the original. It's an Instagram. It's by Kids to Scrap. Can y'all see that? Let's see. This is a, well, I don't know if it's a one page or not, because it says one of two. I think it's a one pager, but I'm going to make it two, you guys. I never, ever do this. So you guys are going to be like, what, Christine? But basically she has this 12 by 12 with 3 circles. Actually, it almost looks like they're different sizes. I may do the same size. I'm going to have to see. She's got 3 photos, and then there's these little torn pieces down here, and her title's up here. I'm going to make it a 2-pager because I have 6 photos. And it's photos from our Memorial Day game day. It was raining down here. So we spent all day playing dominoes, and it was fun. So I'm going to use these photos, and there's 6 of them. And what I've pulled out is stash stuff, kind of. Well, no, it really is just stash stuff. I have this. Technically, this is fairly new. I picked this up at Expo, I think it was, Forever in Time, and it's this plants and wood or something like that. And because I've got this whole like wood grain table, this is my dining table here, I'm going to pull out some wood grain here. And I don't know which one just yet. I think maybe this one, but I want to double check because there's a couple options. I actually kind of like this one a lot. So I'm going to pull that out, and I pulled out some old Stampin' Up! Designer paper to make the circles out of. And I just realized she has stuff behind the circles too. So, I actually pulled out this pad as well, which is this leather bound craft papers. I may end up using some of this just because of the texture. We'll see. Because I do have these. And if I make 6 circles here, I can make 6 circles here. Well, I'm still going to end up needing something. So, we'll see what happens. And I may mount this on cream cardstock, I think, maybe. And then I have pulled out of my titles, I think I'm going to call it Epic Game Day. And then instead of those stars, I think I'm going to use these little numbers because these are so cute. Now I only have 5, not 6. So I think on the last one I might use a little arrow for like the score. My daughter had the little notebook paper. She had the score, so I may do something like that. So anyway, that's where I'm starting. So let me pick my wood grain. I need to go grab my cream cardstock, and I grab my circle punch. Yeah, I can use punches. So I'll pull my punches out and see where I'm at. I may use, yeah, let me think about that. I got to think about stuff behind the circles now. I had missed that little detail. Maybe I could use one of these pieces. Why not? There's actually flowers. What if I could find something with the, I don't know. There's a basket weave, but that's not really the thing. I have some of these pieces that might could work. I don't know. I'll figure something out. So give me just a second. I'll be back on. Okay, you guys, quick check-in. First off, I've reorganized my thing here because I think I was a little off. I guess today I'm going to use this. I try not to use it only because this happens. On the other hand, it keeps me in frame. So it's kind of a pros and cons type deal. So what I've done is I picked this wood grain because I thought that looked a lot like the table. And then I did go ahead and pull out of that one pad it's actually technically like a leather pad. But I pulled this out to frame it because I just kind of enjoy that. I think that's a nice contrast. So we're going to do that. And then the other thing is I went off and I grabbed this piece of paper to maybe be that thing behind the circles. So that's where I'm starting. Oh, I forgot my cream colored cardstock, you guys. Always too far ahead and not quite there. So let me run off and get that and get my punches too. That was the other thing I forgot. So I'll be right back. Okay, you guys, you can hardly tell because I've got that dark black glass mat behind all this stuff. But I've already cut down my wood grain by a 1/2 inch and laid it on that dark leather kind of color. I'm not even sure if I had picked that. Yeah, I had showed you this wood. Sorry, I was trying to remember what I just did. I showed you those wood grains. So I'm going through with my 3-inch punch first. And I'll come back in with a 2.5-inch punch on the stripes here. She did a kind of a stripe on the top, so I did that. I'll tell you, I think my circles are a little smaller than hers. But it's a little hard for me to tell on the one hand because I've got little bigger pictures. Hers were square pictures, probably like a 3x3. And mine are 3x4, so it throws it off just a little anyway. Although I really enjoy how this turns out. There's not a ton of embellishment. She did have like little stars kind of going around, so I do some stuff at the end there. But other than that, it's a nice kind of simple, clean. The layout's actually pretty easy. So I've done all my circles. I did go ahead and scuff them just because I think hers had scuffing as well. And now I'm gonna take this piece here and I'm going to make it 3 1/4. It looked to me like her squares were just a little bigger than her circles. And since my circles were 3 inches, I made my squares 3 1/4. And then I'm gonna do the left-hand side. I think I show you that. I don't make you sit and watch me do the right-hand side because it's essentially the exact same process, which is I'm gonna scuff up the edge of these squares, and then I'm gonna kind of do, back and forth. I did notice that her 2 photos on the side are not directly above each other. They're like offset a little bit, so I'm gonna mess with that. I will put the 2 photos that are kind of vertical to each other. I'll put those on foam, but the ones to the outside, I'm gonna make those flat. I just did it. I don't have a reason why. I don't know if she did or not. I just felt like it. Just felt like doing it that way. I'm running out of, I need to get me some fun foam because I'm using all my foam squares, and I don't really like to do that behind photos because it just takes too many of them. And yeah, I need to order some fun foam. I actually just ordered some more adhesive because I've already gone through one of them, and I won't get another one until I think like 3 weeks. I've already gone through one in like a week. So, oops. I mean, and it's not because I'm buying small rolls or nothing like that. I've just been scrapbooking the heck out of stuff. So I need more adhesive, you guys. Okay, so the other thing I did is the lower left corner down there. I'm going to start kind of working on these torn pieces here. She just kind of made like little, I guess, a little base, like a cluster base in a way that creates a spot for, she put some little stars and stuff. So I made those little pieces there. I kind of fast with that for just a second because I was trying to make out the lengths and stuff look right. Look to me, Shala, I'm like going back and forth. And initially I didn't realize the middle piece was kind of torn top and bottom. And it took me just a second to realize that, and then I'll actually fix that. So can't tell right now if it's torn top and bottom, but if not, I'll fix it. And so here's now where I'm going to kind of just, honestly, I fast with this, and I set them down and everything, but I do come back and use my ATG to glue them. I got too far to the edge right there. I'm going to fix that in just a second, though. I'll actually even try to use my T-square to, like, make the other page be the same height. I didn't do that on camera. It didn't work too good because my T-square is only 12 inches, so it's like, how do I get that across all the way? So it works out fine, but like my initial idea was like, what are you doing, Christine? So let me tell you about the photos real quick as I'm fasting with this. And as I mentioned to you in the intro, it was Memorial Day this year, and we actually had a really good weekend. We actually went to the museum and stuff on Saturday. And then, no, that's a lie. It was Sunday. Saturday, my mom and my daughter and I did the pottery thing. I've done a layout about that. And then we went to the museum on Sunday. I need to still do layouts about that. But then it's hot. My parents are elderly, so we didn't want to go outside, or we didn't want to be like outside. Well, thankfully it actually rained on Monday because that gave us a good excuse. We were already going to play the dominoes, but this way it was like, oh, well, we don't have to feel guilty about not being outside or whatever. So we stayed inside and played dominoes, and y'all, it was like 7 hours. This is one of those, I think there's 13 rounds or something like that, and you use this little device in the middle and you match it up, and we had a really good time. I think my mom had the best time. She came in dead last. But she had the best time. She was so cute putting her things down. And sometimes, you get mixed up and you're trying to play a domino and you can't play the domino where you think you can play the domino. And it was just a good time. We all had a good time. Everybody's a good sport. I mean, I started off in first place, y'all. I won the first 2 rounds. No dominoes left over or whatever. And then I didn't win at the end. I was so upset about it. I was like, what the heck, man? And I say upset. I was not really upset. But it was like, well, shoot, that was not an advantage in the end. I think this title turns out really cute. I like this, Epic Game Day. Now the next thing I'm going to do is put my numbers on my photos. She had big stars on them, so I'm just kind of using the numbers where she kind of had stars. And I think this looks kind of cute. They're a little hard to see because they're black on top of the photos. On the other hand, I didn't necessarily need them to be like in your face, so I'm okay with it. And I have used these numbers up that have been in my stash now for quite some time. Because most of my layouts only have a couple, 3 pictures at the most, usually, it's hard for me to use all the numbers. So I was really proud of myself for having the numbers. And even though, funnily enough, I didn't have 6, I only had 5. So, but the arrow works out good because I pointed up toward the score sheet where my daughter was keeping score. So she had little stars kind of sprinkle around. So I just pull out my wooden heart, y'all. This is kind of on my desk all the time. I love these things. And I just kind of drop them in the general location. And then off camera, I'm just going to actually kind of organize them. They don't stay exactly where they're at in the sense of like, I don't like let them, not like a sequence, sequence. Sometimes I just let them drop and glue them exactly where they fall. These ones I'll kind of organize a little bit. At least I didn't think I made y'all sit there and watch me do that. Well, that wasn't my intention. I meant to cut this out. Oh, maybe I'm still just kind of messing. I don't know, you guys. I hope I don't leave this. Oh, no, I cut it out. I can see the little cut coming up. I just kind of set all these down. I don't even count, y'all. I'm just kind of organizing them a little bit, causing them to cascade, that kind of stuff, kind of like hers. And then I've used my Nuvo glue to glue everything down. And the next thing I've got going on is these little phrases. I noticed on her layout, she had like little phrases or whatever on the photos and stuff. So I went into my like wordy bits stash and I pulled out a few from like a random sticker sheet. And then I pulled out off out of my Tim Holtz like snarky words or some such. So like one of them says, hang on, let me overthink this. One of them says, I'd like to announce I have no idea what I'm doing. And then the last one says, forecast for today, unproductive with chance of a nap. So I thought those were kind of appropriate for the day that we were having. They were doing games and stuff like that. It was just kind of funny. So I got those on there. And then there was a few little colored stickers on a different little sheet we had, or that I had. And I thought the colors went pretty well with the little papers I picked here. So it just says like, this story was precious memory, for the record, simply the best. And then highlights. They're just kind of random little, you know, wordy bits. And so I'm sticking those on there. I will have to use Nuvo glue on the snarky ones because they're just really not very sticky at all. So also I trimmed them. So there's a lot of dead space before and after the phrases on several of them. So I'll also trim those. Actually, I'm going to reorganize that just a tad on that left-hand photo over there. That's going to get slightly reorganized, which you'll see in the end after I take the photos and do the slowdowns and whatnot. But basically, you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just kind of putting the wordy bits on these photos here and kind of, like I said, just kind of copying her little bits there. I will only pull in one more puffy sticker. There's a little blue heart that I find where I found the numbers. I thought about, I'll actually even pick it up and kind of look at it and think, you know, to myself, okay, can I pull anything out of these puffy stickers? Because there were several hearts, but I got a little bit worried. I didn't actually take the time to count or whatever, but I thought, you know what, I bet I don't have enough to really go around all the little clusters, and so I kind of abandoned that idea, other than the one blue heart that I stuck directly on the photo. And so that is the layout, you guys. I think this turned out really cute, actually, and I got that game day documented. I did add journaling in the upper right, basically mirroring where the title is, and I thought that was a good spot for it because, of course, it's, again, this is kind of a mirror image, so I really enjoyed this. I think this turned out really cute. Like I said, I'm happy to have gotten that documented. So as usual, please make sure you check out the playlist. We got a bunch of folks playing along, and typically Tara will include the link to the original poster on Instagram or whatever, so you can go over to her channel and show her some love. And of course, say hello so I can say hello back, and we will see you next time. Bye.